Welcome to Insanely Positive! Your oasis of joy when the world seems grey and full of grumpy faces. I'm Suzanne Freiherz. Thank you for joining me. I'll feed you buckets of joy to bring out your best self so you can live your best life.
Hello everyone. Today I have a very exciting topic to talk about. Acceptance isn't resignation. And let me just share with you how I thought of this whole topic to talk about today. I don't know if you know, but last week was World Asthma Day. On the 5th of May, it's World Asthma Day. And I am part of a campaign to raise awareness for asthma. And I'm very honored to be part of this campaign. And I was part of an expert talk where we heard about all the new therapies, and there are actually a lot of things that you can do nowadays, and the therapies seem to work really well. And I heard a woman talk who has asthma for 40 years, and she was so optimistic and so inspiring because she has gone through a lot. But now she found a therapy that actually works really well. And she said, I can almost live a normal life. I even climb mountains. So this is fantastic. This is so inspiring. And one topic that came up from people who have asthma, from doctors, from everyone who was talking, they always said one important part in dealing with asthma is first, you have to accept it. And this is where I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because this is what I have been teaching in the last years in the YUNA classes, the concept that I always call acceptance isn't resignation. And I always felt that this is a very important thing to share. And I was really glad to hear this from so many people that they have the same experience as I have. So I want to share it with you guys today, and I hope you can benefit from it. So let me just start with, what do I mean with accepting? And why is it sometimes hard for us to accept having an issue, be it asthma or something else in the body? Why do we struggle with acceptance? Well, I think it's because we think as the moment when I accept it, it's unchangeable. That's it. I have to live with it forever. But that's not what accepting is. What happens when we have asthma or something else, or maybe, I don't know, tense shoulders? So you see, no matter what it is, you can apply the same thing to everything that we all deal with. So let's say there is something in your body that is not great. And when I ask you, well, accept it, what's your reaction? Do you you choose between fight or flight usually. Some of us fight it and we struggle with it and we don't want to accept it and we fight against it, or we run from it. We act as if it's not there. This is not part of my reality. And these are just two different ways of resisting reality. And what happens is it's a lot of work to resist reality. It's a waste of energy, really, to struggle, to fight against something that is part of ourselves. Because the truth is, when there is something in the body and we fight against it, we fight against ourselves. And there can never be a winner. How could there? So all this energy we spend fighting, struggling, resisting goes nowhere. Or same for running, acting as if it wasn't there. It's a drain of energy as well, because we cannot run from ourselves. So you see, accepting is what opens the doors to a way that doesn't drain our energy, and that can actually lead to a path where we can begin to see, how can I change it? How can I make my situation better? How can I nurture my body? So this is what accepting really is. It means to make peace. To make peace with something that we can't change. To make peace with ourselves. Instead of investing all this energy to fight it or to run from it. And no matter if we tend to fight or flee, it's frustrating, because like I said, there can never be a winner. We can never fight against an aspect of ourselves and expect to win, to have a win-win situation, or run from an aspect of ourselves and then win. So this is really fighting, and fight and flight reflex here goes nowhere. All the energy is wasted. So I think this is the moment where we can say, okay, so what about if I accept what is here? And this really is a wonderful moment to discover that acceptance in itself already is change. Because this is what we sometimes are not aware of. Like I said, we think acceptance is resignation. And then I can't change anything. And I've given up. But that's not true. When we accept something, it's the first step to change something. First of all, it's wonderful because finally we stop fighting against ourselves or running from ourselves. And finally, we are at peace. This is what accepting does. We are at peace with ourselves, with everything that we are. And I'm sure you'll agree, this is a wonderful feeling. And this is something that gives us a lot of energy. And when we don't waste all the energy in fighting or running from something we can't change, we can invest the energy into change, into something that actually makes our situation better. And I want to just share an experience that I had. And that's why this is such a huge topic for me. This is why I have been sharing it for so many years, because it comes from my own reality and from my own experience. And this is why in pretty much every class I share, I invite people to just have a look at what is here now. Is there something that you're not happy about? And then just accept that. And know that acceptance isn't resignation. The moment we accept that that's something that's not great, we can deal with it. We can address it in the movements. When I teach a class, then we can use the movements to better the situation for this body part. So accepting opens up the possibility to deal with it and to change it. And so the experience I had is many years ago. When I was 18, I wasn't flexible at all. The body was very tense, and I did a yoga course and I went to a couple of classes, and what we did there was the teacher said, okay, sit down and extend your legs in front of you and then bend over your legs and stretch. So this is this classical forward bend in yoga, and I'm sure you all know this. And it was awful. It was absolutely terrible. I really suffered. I thought this is the most awful pose I've ever done. And I really struggled with it, and it was so uncomfortable. And then I heard all the things that I'm sure you guys hear in yoga class or read about it. And there are people saying, teachers suggesting, okay, bend forward, bend over your legs, and just, place your upper body on your legs. And hearing that, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Because guys, well, picture it. I was sitting on the floor, bending over my legs. And for me, that meant I was barely able to touch my kneecaps. And I'm not joking. And this is not an exaggeration. This was the sad truth back then. And it was just pure discomfort to do this. And it didn't get any better. And I asked some advice from a teacher, but I didn't get any useful advice. Nothing changed. I kept doing the pose and forcing myself to do it. And I struggled and nothing changed. It didn't get better at all. So I began to research myself. And what I found out was that the anatomy of every human being is different. I mean, not like we all have the same anatomy, but the details are very individual, and they determine our individual way to move and our individual flexibility. And this was a revelation. I had no idea back then, more than 20 years ago, that every human being has unique bones. So when we think about this forward bend, in my research, I found out, okay, everyone has a different thigh bone, depending on the shape, how it's twisted, how long or short the neck is, how big or small the head is. So a lot of different things come into play, and they depend the flexibility when we bend forward. And then I learned that some people have the bone structure that when they bend forward, even if they are super, super stretched and flexible, their upper body will never touch their thighs, simply because they have the bone structure that doesn't allow that to happen. So when I found out about this, that was a revelation. I was like, whoa, okay. So that means I'm one of those. This will never happen for me. I have to accept that this will never happen. So what I did was I sat down at home with this knowledge in my mind, and I did the stretch. And for the very, very, very first time ever, I closed my eyes and I began to relax and I began to enjoy the stretch. For the very first time, I stopped fighting and struggling against myself. I just stopped because I made peace with it. Because everything that I found out about anatomy and bone structure just helped me to accept that, okay, I am one of those body types. And the moment I accepted myself as I am, guys, something magical happened. I sat there, my eyes closed. I was completely absorbed in this joy that finally I stopped struggling and fighting against myself. And this energy of acceptance completely relaxed me and opened a feeling of joy that I haven't known in this pose. And then suddenly something hit my forehead. There was a hard bump on my forehead, and I had no idea what was going on. I was completely irritated, and I opened my eyes and I was looking at my legs like a centimeter in front of my eyes were my knees. And I needed a few moments to understand what had happened, because it all went so fast. What had happened was my whole body completely relaxed, and from one breath to the other, the tension was gone, and my upper body just kind of flipped over, and I was bending forward over the legs and my head was on my legs, and it just happened from I could barely touch my kneecaps. Suddenly my forehead was on my legs. And it all just happened because, and in the very moment, I made peace with myself and with, okay, I will never reach my feet. I will never be able to bend over my legs. So this was the moment I understood that accepting is immensely powerful, and it's absolutely not giving up. On the contrary, it is the first and the very powerful step towards changing something. It is the door opener to change something. So that was life-changing. And ever since this moment and this experience, I am sharing this. And I really, really hope that it helps you. I hope you're inspired by this. Of course, it's not always this huge. This was also in my life kind of an exception. But I see it happening all the time in my own practice, in my own body, but also when I work with people. The moment I invite us all to accept what is here, and I remind us all that the way we are, even if there is something that is not super pleasant, it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. This is where this lightness comes up, this relaxed joy activates itself, and this is the moment where things already begin to shift. So acceptance is an immensely powerful tool. It's absolutely not giving up. This is not what accepting is, and this is my point of today, and I really hope that you take this with you, because I think to accept yourself exactly the way you are, with all the stuff that you're dealing with and maybe struggling with. If you think about it, when you think about someone you love and the person loves you back, but what if this person doesn't accept a part of you? You know what that means. This is so deeply disturbing. This hurts so much when we are not accepted the way we are. And when you think about that, when we do that with ourselves, when there is something, an issue, and we struggle against it and we fight it and we run from it, this is exactly what we do with ourselves. We don't accept ourselves the way we are, and this hurts. So I think it's time we stop. I think we take a breath and we embrace everything that we are, all the stuff that is unpleasant too, because the moment we accept it, we are already changing it. And we don't know what the change will be. Maybe it will be huge, maybe it will be tiny, but it's always a step towards making things better, changing things. And the inner peace that comes with it is incredibly energetic. When we don't waste energy fighting ourselves, we can invest the energy in nurturing ourselves and making whatever the thing is that we're struggling with, that we were struggling with. We can make it better. We can find solutions. We can find things that this part of our life becomes better. So everyone, love yourself exactly the way you are, with everything that is here now, because the moment you accept it, you can begin to change it. Don't run from yourself. Don't fight against yourself. Just embrace yourself as a unique, amazing, wonderful human being that you are. We all have our stuff to deal with. And accept everything and know that this is the moment where you can begin to see how can I change things, that the thing I'm dealing with becomes better, easier, lighter. Okay? So thank you so much for listening today. And I was so inspired by all this awareness campaign about asthma and talking to people who have asthma or had asthma. And I've got a lot of feedback, and we also talked about therapies and doing sports, fitness, everything, and also breathing techniques. And I have been working with many people who are dealing with breathing patterns, stress patterns, and my experience is that what usually people teach when it comes to asthma, breathing, is breathing techniques that count the breath. Like you count to 4 in your in breath, and then you exhale, and while you do that, you count to 7 or whatever. And sometimes people even suggest holding the breath. And these are all tools that I don't use for the very simple reason that they all increase stress in the body. So I have been working with people who have a lot of stress, who have asthma, all kinds of breathing things going on, and it's always the same. As soon as they should breathe in to the count of 4, they already lose breath, and the breath is kind of freaking out. And no wonder, because we don't want to be squeezed into another thing that causes pressure, because I think we have pressure enough. So I think what the breath really needs is being free, not being squeezed into count to 4, count to 6, count to 7, but being free. And next week I am guiding you through a breathing technique that is absolutely pressure-free, absolutely stress-free. And I can't wait to share this with you, and I hope you'll be there with me. And for today, let's take a breath, let's smile, let's be grateful for every breath we take, for our lungs, for the air we breathe, and let's embrace everything that we are. So goodbye everyone, thank you for letting me be part of your life. Stay safe, stay healthy, let, like always, positivity pervade your beautiful heart, your mind, your body, everything that you do and say, and create joy and bliss. Shed the negative. The new normal is insanely happy.